I was recently on a flight to Boston, and the plane lands, we're taxiing to the gate, and eventually we get there. Plane stops, the fasten seatbelt light goes off, and as soon as this happens, and I'm sure everyone's seen this, a large number of people in the plane jump up and they go to stand in the aisle, where at that point they proceed to stand there for about 15 minutes depending on where they are in the plane. And I've always gotten a kick out of this, right? Everyone has their thing. This is my thing. I think it's hilarious. You watch people just standing there. They're kind of annoyed. They're cramped. They're reaching over each other to grab their carry-ons and, find a way to stick them between their feet. It's amusing, right? It's certainly not a life or death situation. There's nothing serious about it, but it is a lost 15 minutes of reading or listening to music or whatever the case may be. The moral of the story is that it's a prompt decision made without much thought, and not much value is provided in return. And I turned to my brother who was traveling with me, made a joke. We started talking about, kind of the irrationality of human beings. Why do we do things like this? Our lives are filled with things like this. And we sort of carry on like mindless drones. And then it hit me, right? I'm certainly not immune to this type of thing, and I don't think anyone is. Maybe I don't stand up in the plane for 20 minutes, but there are certainly parallel situations. Which prompts this question: imagine if they can be recognized and weeded out. Like, what are the airplane aisle moments in my life? When am I acting just to act without thinking about it, or doing things that, they're not helping me, but they're around? Maybe because there's this, manufactured urgency I grew up with, or I'm seeing everyone else do it. Like, how many things that I do every day aren't getting me closer to where I want to be? Impulse versus what's best. And they can be small, right? Like, my impulse is to check my phone first thing in the morning, but that's probably not what's best for me. Actually, I know it's not, but I could easily see a situation where I never think about that or recognize that and just continue doing it. The world doesn't end, but I'm missing an opportunity to be a little better. My impulse is to think and worry about things I can't control. That's my impulse, but that's not what's best for me. And sure, I can see a world where I don't take time to think about that or recognize that and just, mindlessly keep doing it my whole life. But I'm missing an opportunity. These things can also be big, right? Things that we all do. They're commonplace. They're hidden in plain sight. Limiting yourself because of what others might think of you. We hear that so much, it almost feels like a cliche, but we do it, right? If you've ever retracted or not done what feels right in the moment because of that inherent fear, that nervous feeling in your stomach, because you're worrying about standing out or being different, that is your airplane aisle decision. If you've ever made a life choice so that you can feel adequate or feel like you're keeping up with the Joneses next door, that is an airplane aisle decision. If you've ever wanted to or done something to bring others down, right, so that you can stifle the competition, so that your insufficiencies feel smaller, that is an airplane aisle decision. If you've ever spoken or reacted from a standpoint of emotion rather than taking a second to collect yourself, to stop and to think about what's best for you, that is an airplane aisle decision. And these things matter. Because if you truly thought about it, you'd know that when you're old and you're looking back on your life, the great tragedy won't be these little things, won't be these shortcuts or who said what or when. No, they'll be having neglected to live authentically, neglecting to do what's meaningful so that you could appease people that don't care about you. It matters because your happiness doesn't come from the Joneses. And that impulse to fit in, it derails the special gifts you bring to the world. It's cutting out your own feet from under you. It matters because there's always room at the top for anyone who works. And building people up will always come around to be more beneficial than the alternative, than trying to cut people down. When you go out of your way to do that, you don't make yourself better, which is exactly what you need to do. Make yourself better. That's what gets you results. It matters because emotional responses usually aren't the right response. And if you don't take time to think in the heat of the moment, you act irrationally. and you give up a tactical advantage over everyone and everything that happens around you. And my point is absolutely not to call anyone stupid or make anyone feel, inadequate. As I stated, we all have our thing. We all act on impulse, without thinking about it from time to time. There is a point in your life where you do that, whether you like to admit it or not. My point is simply that why don't we take time to think about it? They say simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And just imagine if our lives could be streamlined to do the things that matter to us, that make us happy, that are productive, and that's it. Our lives would look a lot different. So question your life, question the decisions you make, question the things you do, especially if they're done every day. Almost like a business analyst walking into an organization and studying it, calling out the inefficiencies. In my prior life, I dabbled in that world. And something I learned was that the beauty, the value of a consultant or business analyst is that they come in with fresh eyes, fresh perspective, and then smoothen the process. They get more out of the pieces that are already there. So be that in your own life. Examine, even if it's one or two things, even if it's small. Standing in an airplane aisle, this example is silly. It's small, it's not important, but who knows, removing it could reveal untapped value. It's funny, small things always seem to become big things at some point in time. And that example I gave, not looking at my phone in the morning, that can be big, right? The morning's quiet time. I'm not rushed into problems or focusing on things that other people put in front of me. No, I can focus on what feels right to me. It allows me to collect my thoughts, which allows me to decide how the day will go, which prompts me to conquer the things that matter, which prompts me to feel good about myself and my work, which prompts me to identify as someone who wins every day, and so goes the pattern. It's just about not being blind to your actions. That's all it is. So when you're commuting or you're in between classes or you're at lunch, whenever it is, just take a second. Think about what you do and see if you can identify any of those moments. Work on them. Success is becoming who you want to be. It's defining yourself, not letting the outside world, not letting your senseless actions or lack of clarity define life for you.